We're going to move over to the DeFi landscape and talk about Algorand, which is not a project you hear about often, but they want people to know about them. So they're throwing lots of cash their way. So $300 million for an innovation fund, specifically for decentralized finance products. Of course, over the last year or so, we've seen decentralized finance kind of take off as both a meme and application on top of the Ethereum blockchain. And it's kind of moved over to a few other blockchains, such as Solana. But for the most part, it's kind of stayed on Ethereum or Ethereum scaling solutions like Layer 2s, like Polygon. Algorand doesn't want that to stop or to just stay on Ethereum. Rather, it wants it to move over. So they're incentivizing developers to come over and work on their blockchain. Algorand launched most of its baseline technology in 2019. It's a proof of stake blockchain, has some ties with kind of like the professor coins of the world, the academic blockchains, where they kind of focus on trying to get like the mechanics of the underlying blockchain more performative than some of the other networks out there. Ethereum is very focused on the community and kind of getting things solved on that front. So kind of a split there in terms of which blockchain we're talking about. Zach, I want to throw this to you. Of course, we've seen a lot of different blockchains trying to get DeFi or NFTs or something going on top of their chain. For the most part, a lot of these chains are ghost chains, and they're trying to get some of Ethereum's real estate. So what did you make of this headline?
I'm trying to think about the best way to explain this stuff from people who are on the outside looking in. You know, we saw Harmony do this. We saw Algorand do this. We saw Avalanche do this. We've seen all sorts of projects do this. And if you're looking from the outside in, you're like, $300 million? Like just giving out $300 million? Where does this money come from? And what the story of these networks is that they have a bunch of money. They have a bunch of tokens, right? They have a bunch of monopoly money. But monopoly money is only valuable if you have people to play the game with you. So what they're saying is, hey, we're going to give out some of our monopoly money, and if you're going to use it and build on this network of ours, it's going to become valuable because it's a shared experience that we can all participate in. So I think what's happening in the space right now is that all these networks see this opportunity. They're looking to bring over top projects that will then in turn attract users, and they're looking to be the silver to Ethereum's gold right now as it relates to being a smart contract platform that can do stuff. So it's super duper interesting. We've seen it work, you know. This is money, and crypto is an experiment in incentives. And typically, incentives work. So if you put enough incentives out there for people to vote with their feet and build on or use these networks, we've seen that have some success. We saw that have success with Avalanche. You know, I think we saw a little bit of success with Cello. They did something similarly. So there's all this activity going on right now, and I think you know, I think it's something we've been sort of anticipating for a number of years. This battle for the base layer. Who is going to be the other big gun when it comes to the smart contract platforms of the world? Because the opportunity is becoming increasingly large, and that's why we're seeing increasingly large piles of tokens being thrown at this problem. I don't know. I think the monopoly money thing, like, I got to refine that. We'll figure out how to make that work. But I'm going to toss it to Naomi in the meantime.
So I think that when we're talking about the battle for the base layer, it's actually very telling to look at where their first super grants are directed. So the first super grant is going to support applications for building bridges between Algorand. I want to say Algorand. I think we're so used to saying like things with land. Algorand.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got this, Jen.
Something with the word.
Between Algorand and other networks like Ethereum, so they're really thinking about how do we create a world where all of these islands are connected? How do we build bridges between them all? So it's not just going to be one city and then, you know, everyone's going to be moving into the city and we're going to be piling higher and higher and building skyscrapers. No, we've got this archipelago and we're just creating bridges across all of them. So that's really where their mind is at. That's where a lot of these DeFi spaces, their minds are at. They're all looking at building bridges at the moment, which is very interesting. And the second super grant will seek proposals for integrating Oracle networks. So again, all about the bridges. The first one is bridges between the digital spaces. The second one is bridges between digital spaces and the real world. How do we get real world data into the blockchains? So I love that idea of connectivity. I love that that's the focus of these platforms. And I love what that's going to do, you know, to the world and shape society. If we think about connectivity in terms of communication and what the internet did to reshape society, just creating those bridges between people's computers just was incredible. It changed everything, right? And so what happens when this applies to to finance, what happens when this applies to unique digital assets in this digital realm. I just think it's so incredibly exciting to watch all of this play out. And it seems that everyone really has their eye on the prize. They're looking at the same thing. They're talking about connectivity rather than, potentially just being the one. That narrative seems to have long since shifted. I don't think there is going to be the one. I mean, even you, Zach, the analogy you just said before, you were like, who's going to become the silver to Ethereum's gold? And I'm like, that kind of took me back. I was like, whoa, he just called Ethereum gold? Like, it was always Bitcoin is the gold and Ethereum is the silver to Bitcoin's gold. And now it's like Ethereum. So the fact that all of that is just changing and shifting constantly is really exciting to watch. But Jen, I'll throw it to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, I believe in the last 24 hours, Algorand's price hit an all-time high. And they are also the official blockchain provider for the El Salvadorian government, along with several CBDC projects. So, they're doing a lot of interesting things. So, and we never talk about them. So I look forward to seeing what headline we talk about next.